I tried to roller skate in a buffalo herd to...
What is that?
It's a Roger Miller song that I tried to bring to life.
You tried to roller skate into a buffalo herd.
Yeah.
All right, and what happened there?
Well, Roger Miller was absolutely correct. You cannot roller skate in a buffalo herd. They knocked the cow walking shit out of me.
You had perhaps my worst fear, and every guy's worst fear happened to you. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
Yeah.
What's
You burned your cock and balls,
Yep.
didn't you?
Oh.
Yep.
You were working on a movie called The
horrible.
Eagle, right? The Scottish Highlands. It was freezing out, the way I understand it. And it was so cold that a lot of the guys would take warm water and pour it down their pants. Some asshole handed you the cup of warm water that you could pour down your pants, except he forgot to tell you that it was scalding hot water. Yeah. Scalding hot, right?
Yeah, boiling.
Boiling. What happened next?
I started hyperventilating and screaming and jumping back into the river because it was a hypothermic river, and we had wetsuits on, which is the worst part about it. And so this poor guy, though, I got to be honest.
Poor guy.
Look, I know, but he had been for 13 hours running up a hill for like 15 minutes, like to boil this huge bottle of water, fill it half full with like actual kettle water, run back down the muddy hill, and then fill up put the river water in it, and then come over to me just to keep me warm all day.
Right.
And then we wrapped the day. I started walking up the hill, and what had happened, he just didn't get all the way down.
Right.
So we had done 13 hours of the same thing every time we saw each other. And he's like, "You want to warm up for the walk up?" And of course I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And it was the worst thing.
How long does it take? Like when you
when you burn your finger and it just keeps burning.
Oh, it's so raw.
So it kept burning for the next probably 20 to 30 minutes. Like I was having a complete panic attack.
Yeah, because you think you're losing your dick.
Yeah, well, that was one of the ambulance dudes. He was like, "Look, man, I know this is no fucking consolation." I can't do a Scottish accent. He's like, "I know this is I know there's no consolation now, mate, but it's a good thing that it hurts. Otherwise, you've got nerve damage." And I was just like, I just couldn't. And then there happened to be a radio playing, and I'll give you 3 guesses if you haven't read it in an interview already. What song it was on?
What was it?
Your sex is on fire.
Oh no! Come on!
I swear to you,
that is fucking crazy.
That is the actual song. The driver was like, "Maybe we should change this."
No, how long does it take for that to heal, where you can actually bang again?
I would say I was good almost a week later. Yeah.
A week you were banging again.
Yeah.
Wow. You know,
I mean, look, it was a little rough, but we got it done.
Tell you something. That's very masculine of you. I'll be honest. I think
might never have used yours
oh,
again.
Please, I'm such a baby. I'm such a baby. If I burned my cock like that, I'd wait a year.
You'd still be complaining.
You know, it reminds me of like Wolverine. Maybe the way your skin heals.
It's just my dick, though. That's
are
what
you
I actually call my
circumcised?
penis.
Channing, are you circumcised?
Yes, I am.
You are.
Yes.
And it still healed that fast.
Still healed that fast. Yeah.
I would think foreskin maybe would.
Man, it would have been. I would have been so
was it the whole
nice.
thing, like the head and everything?
Everything, yeah.
The head's the best part.
I gotta be honest. Like, so the doctor gave me these bandages, and I was like, okay, cool. So I put the bandages around it, and I didn't think that I didn't put any like gauze or whatever.
Oh
so
no!
I went down to the bar like the next day, and I was drinking beer, and the next thing you gotta go to the bathroom. You gotta take a pee, and so I went to the bathroom, and I realized that I didn't get all of the tape onto the gauze, so it was on the bottom. It was, and I'm so basically on my knees in a bathroom in a pub, like in Scotland.
Oh.
It's so sad. Like I'm peeing in my shriveled, burnt penis, and I was just like, why,
you cried.
Lord? Why, God?
Oh my God! I can't think of. Oh,
why did you do this to me? What did I do?
I love the intensity in G.I. Jane that you went and trained with the Navy SEALs. Like they say that training, most people crumble.
It was hardcore. I mean, obviously ours was modified, but we had all real SEALs down there.
Those are hardcore motherfuckers.
And it was me and 40 guys. And I'm telling you, I went down to start the training, and I had stuff hanging in the closet of the hotel.
What is the training exactly?
Well, I mean, the first day, they had boots and the whole thing for me, and they made us do a mile run off the bat, 5 a.m. I had taken some vitamins on an empty stomach, stupid. Yeah. Haul ass, mile run, straight out. Me, 40 guys, and I cross the finish line, literally take a right turn, puke my guts out, go, get back in there. Like, okay. So by midday, we take a break. They're going to put us in water.
So you're
And-
doing everything these guys do.
Yeah. The other actors, extras, were all there to kind of, bond and learn the experience. I take my shoes off and I have these massive blisters, and Harry Humphreys, our consultant, he said, you don't really have to do all this. And I thought, if I don't right now, I'll never get it back. I'll never get it back of, the respect. I'm playing an officer. Like, I was like, just give me some tape. And I taped up my, blisters, and off we went. I mean, and they never called me by my real name, always by the character name. And I'm telling you, they set me up. I'm convinced to be late the second day.
So they could ream you.
And everyone was in formation, and I'm like, I'm going to squeak in back in the back. And all of a sudden I hear, Jordan, front and center. And I'm like, oh, and I go up to the front, and I'm standing there, and he says, drop your fucking ass down right now. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay.
Do you have to give him push-ups?
Oh, he said, drop me down into a lean and rest, which is like a push-up position. And he was screaming at me, who the fuck do you think you are? You think we're going to let some split tail come in here? Drop your fucking ass down. I was like, oh, okay.
Jesus.
And then I go in, and then he screams at everybody else.
And they
don't leave a man behind. You drop your asses down. So then now I'm responsible for everybody else being in trouble.
Oh my God.
That was it.
But the instructor was impressed with you.
Yeah.
You had trouble with pull-ups.
Yeah.
But the instructor would say, "This woman's had 3 kids. You motherfuckers better do it," because you were nailing it. You do all your own stunts, huh? Didn't you break everything in one?
Yeah, I just broke both my arms. What
5 movie was
ago.
that?
It's a movie called Tag. It's a sort of action comedy sort of thing.
And how do you break both your arms in that movie?
I fell 20 feet off a stack of chairs.
Did you need to do that stunt?
You can see my face and my body doing the stunt. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's important to you.
That's important.
That's like some Jackie Chan shit, right? I mean, he does all his own stunts.
Yeah, I suppose. It's just you spend so much time and money to try to create a world for people to go sit down in a chair and watch a movie. You don't want them to be pulled out of a movie because see some guy with a bad wig trying to do the stunt.
But does a director ever say to you, "Listen, we can get the coverage on this thing"? Like when you were making Wind River, which we'll talk about, the new movie I saw, it's a great movie. When you were making that movie, you're driving around on a one of those what do you call it? Snowmobile.
Snowmobile.
Snowmobile. You drove that snowmobile yourself, right?
Yeah, all of them except for the big wide shots, because we only had X amount of days to really kind of shoot this little independent movie. So.
And that's you driving it around.
Except for the big wide shots and the guy really kind of getting after it. Otherwise.
But does the director ever say to you, "Listen, we need you in the movie. If you break your head, I would think it would cancel the whole movie out"?
Yeah, I just wouldn't do something where I would break my head.
and Elizabeth Olsen, who's in that movie with you, she's on the back of this snowmobile.
Yeah.
And she's yelling at you to slow down, right? Because you're crazy.
There's stuff. Not crazy.
Yeah.
I just know my limitations. It's the same with Rachel Weisz in Born Legacy. It's on that motorcycle. It's you're on 2 wheels and slippery road, and you just got to be careful because you are responsible for somebody else's well-being.
You did those stunts on Born Legacy, right?
Yeah.
Jeez, you're out of your mind.
It's just
You think you got a death wish or something?
No, not at all. It's the only time I ever got injured was on this comedy.
That shit, that stupid comedy. You mean it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, what do you do after you break both your arms? Are you still going to be able to work?
Yeah, I broke both my arms.
Oh,
I
that
got
must have
back
been
up and I
horrible.
did the stunt again.
Get out of here.
Oh, my goodness.
On lunch, I went to the hospital. I said, "Yeah, that's broken. That's broken," and I went back to work.
How many weeks are you in casts from breaking both your arms?
It's supposed to be around 4 to 6 weeks, I think. But I was in splints so I could not have the tendons and ligaments, everything kind of lock up. So.
And let me ask you a question no one's probably ever asked you. If you make duty and you have both arms broken, how do you wipe your ass?
I got by.
Did you?
Yeah,
You were able to do it?
I was able to do it, yeah. The left wrist was all right. I was hanging in there.
No kidding.
Yeah, but a lot of people thought, what's he going to do?
Yeah, no, that was my first thought. I don't even know how you get dressed if you have both arms broken.
That I couldn't do.
You couldn't.
No.
People have to dress you.
Yeah, that's where you feel like, oh my God, I'm 90. I got
Now you know
two
what it's
people
like.
tying my shoes, zipping up my fly,
Oh my
buttoning
God.
my pants. I'm like, this is pathetic, but I'd still go out and go to work.
Dude, you're something else. 175 IQ, can zip up your pants almost, can take a dump with both arms broken. Incredible bowling skills.
I'm going to put this in my resume. Yeah.
No, I mean, it's pretty awesome. I'm very impressed
I'd
with
love
you.
to see a resume like that.
No, I'm really very impressed with you. When you train with these guys who trained Keanu Reeves for John Wick, it seems like you're breaking your thumbs, you're breaking your ribs. The training is intense, and I'm like, I thought there's stunt people for that stuff. Why are you damaging yourself?
Well, you don't set out to do that, and it is very rare. I have to say. I mean, I've had, and even this thumb injury wasn't that bad. Like, even if a stunt person did this, it wouldn't have helped. Like, I grabbed onto a guy, and my thumb got stuck in his wardrobe, and he turned and he just kind of bent my thumb back with him. So I tore the ligament off the bone. And then I remember the first action movie I ever did was Young Flux. And I hurt myself actually pretty bad on that because there was a level of we want you to be crazy supple because this anime character that's not even real is constantly in the splits or in back bends. And I was like, I can't do that. So they put me with these Cirque du Soleil people who were lovely, but they were double jointed and weird. And I was like, I have 3 months. I'm not going to be able to smell my own asshole in a back bend. It's not going to happen. So let's find something that I can do.
But in A and Flux, you almost got paralyzed. You fell on your head or something trying to do one of these wacky
You know why?
stunts.
Because I have no business doing back handsprings. I'm not a gymnast. You're not going to learn that in 3 months. So I think now for me, it's all about having the right team. You don't need a stunt person to step in and do something. You create it to be something that you can do. And that's what makes it fun. When you have choreography that is there to celebrate you as an actor to tell the story, not have a stunt person step in to make you look good. It's we're telling a story. The actor is doing it. They've worked for 4 months. It's like rehearsal. They know exactly what they're doing. That's fucking awesome when you can do that.
I'd say if we count up the box office, you're now one of the #1 action stars.
For years, it was somewhat frustrating for me as a woman because I like the genre. I like watching these movies. I grew up, my mom loved Chuck Norris and Charles Bronson. And it makes me feel, good about just knowing that we've changed that industry as a whole. I feel like the genre has definitely had a facelift, and I feel like women have been a huge part in that. I feel like women have kind of stepped up in the genre and made it fun again and not made it just part of this one conversation where just oh, well, women can't fight like men. Well, we don't want to fucking fight like men. We want to fight like we would fight.
I mean, I think this was real. When you were shooting that prank and you guys, your dicks were in that Chinese, what do you call that?
The Chinese finger trap?
Yeah, the Chinese finger trap. It's the funniest thing ever saw, but it looked like that guy really pulled a knife on you, was going to kill you.
Oh, yeah.
And
that was Rel's first day of shooting. That was my co-star's first day of shooting. He never had shot a hidden camera prank in his life. And I kept being like, no, it's okay. We got a safety protocol. It's going to be fine. We walked into this hood.
What's the safety protocol? What do you have, a safe word?
We have a safe word. If I yell popcorn, that means you got to come in and save me because I'm about to die.
Why'd you choose that word?
I wanted a word that I would never use in real life in a scene. The only time you say the word popcorn is when you're ordering popcorn. So it's not it couldn't be confused with something I was saying in the heat of the performance.
So you say to your co-star, don't worry, we got this thing down. If something really dangerous happens, I yell popcorn, everything's fine. But of course, you probably have never yelled popcorn ever.
I never yelled it. And things did not go fine. And then I got so nervous when so we went to this hood barbershop with our dicks in a Chinese finger trap. We politely asked the barber for scissors, and the barber was like, "Oh hell no!" And he started looking for his gun, couldn't find his gun, found his knife, chased us out of the thing with a knife. And me and Rel can barely run in that thing because we're joined at the dick. So we're like Laurel and Hardy running out of there.
Yeah.
And then I was so nervous, I forgot my own safe word because I've never used it. So instead of yelling popcorn, I was yelling goosebumps. So no one knew what I was talking about. I was like, goosebumps, 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 just out of nerves. And then I was like, shit, popcorn. And then my security guy jumped in and did like a judo chop on the guy and grabbed his knife.
Right.
And then we go, hey, you're in a hidden camera prank thing. And then he was like, oh, y'all are hilarious. You got me with that one. He went from like a murderous rage to like slapping his knee.
Well, that was the problem with also doing the Ali G show in the movies, was that the kind of stakes became higher. So in Bruno, I ended up being in situations where I wouldn't say my life was in threat, but I was in danger of being hospitalized, or so. The end scene in Bruno is a cage fight. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I do. And people were throwing chairs.
Yeah, so I remember when we were planning that scene, and coming back to your original question of you come up with a crazy idea in the room, and it's like how do we make this happen? And the idea was, I want to have the love scene where Bruno meets his boyfriend again, and they start kissing in the middle of a cage fight, and Bruno's become this really macho guy called Straight Dave, and he's pretending not to be gay, And
one of the greatest scenes ever.
And basically, I called up the lawyer. The studio said you can't do it; it's illegal. And I said, why not? And they had their lawyers on the line. They said, you're crossing state lines to have a riot, and that is a federal offense. That's what they arrested the Chicago 7 for. So it becomes not just a state offense. So they go, you can't do that. So I said, well, let's see if we can do that. We're going to do it. So let's work out how we can.
Even though the lawyers told you not to do it, you said, I'm going to do it anyway.
I said, we're going to do it, and we're going to find out a legal way to do it.
And doesn't that take a physical, something out of you to do? I mean, because you're nervous. You went into a cage, you're making out with another guy. There's all these people in the audience who have no idea.
Yeah. We were like 300 people short, and one of the referees said, don't worry, he goes, don't worry, I'll get people there. And he basically was a prison warden, and he got 300 ex-cons who'd just come out. And suddenly these guys come in, they've got swastikas on their heads.
Right.
And I'm there, and I know I'm going to,
make out with a guy and start a riot.
And we had like this, this fence around, and I had like security around, and I said, all right, can anyone climb in? And they go, don't worry, no one can climb in.
Right.
It would take them 3 minutes. Anyway, meanwhile, suddenly there's a fight in the audience. My security disappear, and then the crowd start booing me. And the one thing I'm told by my lawyer is, don't incite a riot.
Right.
You cannot say anything that will incite a riot. And suddenly they start booing me. And I go, all right, any of you fags want to have the shit kicked out of you? Come in here right now. Anyway, I knew no one could get into the cage.
Why do you think you did that? Because you said, this is going to be funny. Even though I'm going to be dead, this is going to be so funny.
At some point,
you don't think at that point, right?
At some point, I tell you what, you get so deep into character that you
get lost.
You get lost. And I got lost, and it was the most stupid thing, obviously.
Do you think you'll ever go out and risk your life like that again?
I would love to do it again. I don't want to risk my life, know. And, even when I was risking my life, I was always very calculated,
Right.
You don't look at it as risking your life.
I was always trying to minimize the risk. Mm-hmm. So, for example,
So when you go in a room with, was it Ron Paul who you started coming on to?
Yes.
Has anyone ever told you look like Enrique Iglesias?
You figure, hey, you could take him. He can't beat you up. Right. Yeah, that's calculated.
Yeah, but it's, so for example, if we were going into a redneck bar, I'd find out, from my security, I'd go, what percentage of people have guns? And then, you try and take, you'd have the sound guy, touch them a little bit and see if they had guns on them.
Is that true?
Yeah.
You do that? You try to size up the room to see if people have guns?
Yeah, you try and find out. The problem is in the South, you can't take people's guns off them. It's like asking a guy to remove his underpants or whatever. And I remember we did one scene where it was a bunch of hunters in Arkansas again. Arkansas is a great place.
That was crazy. When you're in the tent and you try to you sneak into their tent naked.
Yeah, exactly. And
they're like going to kill you.
Yeah, and so I said to my security guy, I go, with Bruno we had to use security. Before that we never used security. Right. And I just said, all right, take their guns off them. And I go, are the guns off? And he goes, no, they won't take their guns off. Right. So I said, all right, fine. So, we're around the campfire and I go,
look at the four of us. We are so like the Sex and the City girls. Oh, no, we aren't either.
And They basically realized I was gay.
Right.
And they got really fidgety, and one of them, they basically go off and they got their guns and they loaded their guns. And we're in a dark field in the middle of Arkansas.
Yeah.
And they've got loaded guns. I'm sitting around a campfire. And
you're
I
coming
know
on
that,
them.
and I know that the next scene is I'm going to go in naked into their tent, and they've got guns that are loaded. So it's it gets nerve-wracking.
Insane. Was the most dangerous thing you do in Jackass 3D when you almost broke your neck? Is that the stunt, so to speak, with the bull? He was on a bull.
I tried to roller skate in a buffalo herd.
What is that?
It's a Roger Miller song that I tried to bring to life.
You tried to roller skate into a buffalo herd.
Yeah.
All right, and what happened there?
Well, Roger Miller was absolutely correct. You cannot roller skate in a buffalo herd. They knocked the cow walking shit out of me.
So how many buffalo hit into you?
There was 3.
Are they stampeding at that point?
Yes.
And they hit you full on.
Yes.
And
sir.
your body's thrown around like a rag doll, and
Yes.
that's where you almost broke your
And
neck.
that was right after I did the Invisible Man. So I almost break my neck, and then I'm like, I go dust myself off, change clothes, and then get run over by some buffalo.
How many days in between the stunts?
No, there was maybe an hour and a half between the stunts.
Hour and a half?
Yeah.
What's the Invisible Man?
That's when I paint myself into a background.
Yeah.
But in the middle of a bull ring.
And the bull attacks you.
I got flipped up in the air. Right before I hit the ground, the bull kicked me in the head, and it altered my course just enough where it honestly helped me.
No fear when you go and do that.
Yeah, there's fear.
What is the rush? Because you're getting it on film and you're going, man, millions of people are going to laugh at this, and I feel good about it.
But after you shoot it, and then me and my friends sit around and look at the footage and laugh.
But there's no real way of knowing if you'll get killed or not. I mean, there's no real way the first time you do it.
No, there's no. You don't know what's going to happen, really. You know the bull's going to try and smoke you, but you don't know.
But the stunt isn't successful unless you get hit. When you're roller skating and the bulls are stampeding and they hit you, that's the humor.
Yes.
And you know you're going to have to get hit if it's going to be funny and successful. And in fact, if you get really thrown, it's going to be funny. And if anything short of dying will be funny.
Yeah, dying gets a little dark, but
How many retakes do you do? I mean, are
What's
there
that?
retakes of these if they don't work?
Yeah,
the
there's
first time?
retakes. Like I did a thing where I tried to catch a pass over the middle, and I'd had Jared Allen of the Minnesota Vikings hit me.
Yeah.
While I was, jumping up to catch the ball, and we shot that 3 times. And he
Why?
hits hard. He's like 6'6", and he was smoking me every time. But it wasn't. I could tell it wasn't what I wanted or we wanted. And be like, okay, let's do it again.
Is there any technique involved in this so that you don't get hurt, or is it just like I'll just throw myself up there and see what happens?
Well, you gotta commit, and you gotta go in with the good point of view. If you get like real negative and you half commit, and then that's when you're really going to get. You don't going to get hurt. You're going to get injured.